911, what's your emergency?
Ma'am, I have been robbed. I have been robbed over here.
Can I get your name, please?
Ma'am, this is Senator Graham Charles. You know who this is. I have been telling you, the streets are unsafe. I have told you about this.
Harmonyville was a quiet and quaint coastal town, where the sun shone brightly on most days, and the neighbors knew each other by name. In 1993, that serenity was shattered when a prominent resident, Senator Graham Charles, woke up one morning to find his home completely empty. The luxurious furnishings, priceless artwork, and treasured family heirlooms were all gone, leaving no trace of their existence behind. The police arrived at the scene and were left baffled, as there were no signs of forced entry or any indication of how the burglar had managed to carry out such a brazen heist. Senator Charles was a controversial figure, known for his unyielding bills focused on improving public safety and security, especially in suburban neighborhoods. Some of his more bizarre bills included mandatory background checks for all lawn care workers and the requirement that all mailboxes must have a locking mechanism. These bills received criticism from some who saw them as unnecessary and burdensome, while others praised him for his commitment to keeping communities safe. Despite the controversy, Senator Charles continued to push his agenda, believing that his policies were necessary to ensure the safety and security of his constituents. The police decide that the best place to start their investigation is Senator Graham Charles' office, to question the interns and any other internal employees who may have been working with the senator closely enough to know about his daily routine. They interviewed each one in turn, but found nothing that pointed to anyone having any involvement in the robbery. One intern, however, did mention that the senator had a bit of a reputation in the office for his love of snacking. Greasy Graham was the nickname they used to refer to him behind his back. Apparently, the senator was never seen without a bag of potato chips or some other snack in his hand. The police jotted down the nickname, but knew it was unlikely to have any bearing on the case. They decide to follow a lead that makes the most sense to them and the public, the senator's political enemies. They start investigating people who were vocal about their disagreements with the senator's public safety and security bills. After interrogating a few suspects, they find a promising lead, a man who was caught spray painting Senator Charles as a fraud on a nearby building. He had a history of being involved in political protests and was known to be a vocal critic of the senator's policies. The police interrogate him thoroughly, but he maintains his innocence. He claims that he had nothing to do with the robbery and that he was framed by someone who wanted to discredit him. The police investigate his alibi and find out that he was attending a protest rally at the time of the robbery, which proves that he couldn't have been the burglar. The police ask Senator Graham Charles if he knows of any enemies who might have a motive to rob his house. The senator mentioned a political opponent, Senator Vanessa Green, with whom he had been at odds over a recent bill. The bill in question was one that proposed hiring private security companies to patrol suburban neighborhoods, a measure that many had deemed unnecessary and invasive. Senator Green had been one of the most vocal opponents of the bill, arguing that it would only exacerbate existing issues of police brutality and racial profiling. The police took note of this and began to investigate Senator Green, bugging her house and tapping into her phone. They found what looked like an encrypted message to a woman they believed to be a hired mercenary. They followed the woman when she left Senator Green's house and detained her. They found that her phone had pinged around Senator Charles's house the night of the robbery, leading them to believe that she had been casing the place. The police began to interrogate her, but it quickly became apparent that she was just a food delivery driver who had made a routine delivery to Senator Charles's house that night. With a quick record check and a few phone calls, the alibi proves true. The woman tells them she remembers that night and delivered 3 bags of Cheetos to Senator Graham's house. She says she delivers to his house often, a few times a week. Senator Graham is called down, and confirms she is a delivery driver. The police took another look at the encrypted messages from Senator Green, only to discover that they were nothing more than a typical order placed through a food delivery app. With the investigation hitting a dead end, the police had to start from scratch. It was during the final sweep through the house with Senator Graham Charles that a junior cadet noticed something peculiar. The senator was munching on Cheetos and leaving behind a trail of orange dust on everything he touched. As they moved through the house, they noticed a trail of ants following the same path that the senator had taken. The cadet had a wild theory, and he convinced the team to follow the trail of ants. The ants led the team outside, across the lawn, and down a small hill. At the bottom of the hill, they found a massive ant hill. It was so large that it looked like a miniature city. The cadet had an idea. and he quickly fetched a borescope, a flexible tube with a camera on the end that can be inserted into narrow or hard-to-reach spaces. With the borescope, they were able to take a peek inside the anthill. What they saw shocked them all. The ants had built an entire colony inside the anthill, complete with a living room, dining room, and even a bedroom. And in the center of the living room, they found all of the stolen items from Senator Graham Charles' house. It turned out that the ants had been stealing everything from the house, bit by bit, carrying each item back to their anthill. The Cheeto dust left by Senator Charles had attracted the ants, and they had seized the opportunity to rob the senator's home. In the end, Senator Graham Charles was left without any of his stolen belongings. But at least he now knew what had happened. And as he left the house, he couldn't help but chuckle to himself about the irony of being robbed by a bunch of tiny insects. It's said that as the details of the crime spread around the senator's office, the senator gained a new nickname with his interns: Cheeto Charles. As we reflect on this bizarre turn of events, it's easy to admire the sheer ingenuity of the ants. Their ability to work together, to build something greater than themselves, is truly remarkable. It's no wonder that they have survived for millions of years, while other species have come and gone. Ants truly are great, and we could all learn a thing or two from them. Maybe it's time we dismantle this society and reconstruct it according to the will of the Ant Queen. Yes, we must follow the Queen.
The hive must obey the Queen. For the good of the colony. The Queen above all.
If you enjoyed today's authentic, absolutely true, 100% real, definitely not AI-generated true crime story, please feel free to like, subscribe and leave a comment.